Hello, family. My name is James Trice, and I'm the creator of a podcast called YANA, or You Are Not Alone. You Are Not Alone is a podcast for Black men. It is more than just a podcast. It's a lifeline and a brotherhood. We're here to create a supportive, judgment-free space where Black men can have real, open conversations about what truly matters to us, from family and relationships to community, sports, culture, politics, faith, sex, race, education, and the challenges of everyday life. We dive deep into it all. Whether you're looking for advice, motivation, prayer, or just the comfort of knowing you're not walking this journey alone. Yana is here for you. This is your space to connect, grow, and be heard, because none of us are meant to do life alone. Look for new episodes weekly wherever you get your podcasts. And look for me on Instagram at jbtrice123. Welcome to YANA. Grace and peace, everyone. This is James Trice, and welcome to another edition of YANA. You are not alone. This is a space for Black men to talk uncensored in a judgment-free environment about the issues that matter most to us. This is a space where we realize as Black men that we don't walk this journey of life alone, because none of us really are meant to do life alone. So thank you for joining this episode of YANA, You Are Not Alone. And today's guest, we have none other than John Dawkins, a brother I just became familiar with over the last several months. And so I have invited him to the show, and I want him to talk about himself, who he is, and then we're going to get right into the discussion. So, John, welcome to the show. Introduce yourself, talk about who you are, and let the audience know what you want them to know about you.
Yeah, so good afternoon. My name is John Dawkins. I am a second generation Bahamian American. I'm originally from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. My wife and I relocated back to the Twin Cities within the last 5 years ago during 2020. And my wife and I are here. We have two dogs, and my mother-in-law is here in the Twin Cities as well. So I'm pretty much just a minister. I preach the gospel, as well as I'm in sales, so I do. That's where my work professional history background is in sales and customer services in that kind of environment. And I'm excited. I'm excited to be here today.
Well, thank you for joining us, man. And talk about what brought you to Minnesota, of all places. You from Florida, Fort Lauderdale, where it's nice and warm. I've been there. I love Florida. What made you move from that climate to Minnesota, where we only get like 2 months of heat, so much of summer every year?
Yeah. So, well, one thing is when the George Floyd incident happened. My mother-in-law was here, and she's elderly. She was dependent in the transportation, and she would contact my wife and let her know she couldn't really get out and commute because everything was like chaotic during that time with the riots and a lot of stuff that was happening. And we had to get in contact with my wife's friends who lived in Chicago, Illinois, who had relatives who lived here in the Twin Cities, to just get in contact with my mother-in-law so she can get groceries and get her medicine and certain things of that nature. So we prayed about it, and at that time, my mother, she passed away, and it was probably a few years after she passed away. So kind of I felt in my spirit like that chapter being there was over. But we kind of prayed about it. We seek God and we asked God, and the Lord gave us the release that we should come and relocate back here to the Twin Cities. And it's been a great blessing to my family and our household, in that obedience to hearing the voice of God and obeying Him. Yeah,
Well, that's good. I mean, it's
yeah,
interesting because God will tell us to go someplace, and we're
yeah,
like, "Why there?" Right? Of all
yeah.
places, place where it's colder than Moscow here in
Right.
the Twin Cities,
Yeah,
and it's middle of December right now, beginning of December. It's cold,
yeah. And it's
you
cold.
know.
Yes,
And so anyway, man, let me ask this then: what
yes,
when you talk about it was the issue of the George
yeah.
Floyd murder, right?
Mm-hmm.
I call it a lynching. I think the man was lynched by law
Yes,
enforcement.
yes.
And so with that, well, how did that make you feel? What did you think about that murder, and how
Well,
has that
well.
impacted your life as a black
It,
man? How has
yes,
the
it.
murder of George Floyd impacted your
Yes,
life?
actually, um, when because I was very intimidated to watch the video, and when I did watch the video of what actually happened, it brought tears in my eyes because being like I said, a second generation Bahamian American in Florida. Growing up, there's a city called Davie, Florida. That's where where I went to middle school and high school, and in that city is the Ku Klux Klans. So we would see them. This is just like normal. Like we would see them, on their horses or walking through the town while we're on lunch. So it was,
With their hoods on?
yeah, hmm
Wow. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And this is back in the 90s. So this is like 97, 96, 95. That's around that time. So that's not too long ago. So it brought a lot of moments of my upbringing because, especially if you're a black young man, you're afraid of, you see a police driving behind you, um, you see this, it is certain thoughts you have, and it's very you get anxiety, and you worry if something gonna go left or it's gonna go right. So when I saw the murder of George Floyd, that brought back a lot of experiences that people say, "Oh, well, Florida's nice and it's so beautiful there," but it's a lot of deep rooted racism, and it's open. It's not hidden. It's very, very open. So that brought a lot of bad memories, and just I couldn't get the imagery out of my sight when I saw the video of him. But yeah, it brought back a lot of, like, not just my personal experience, but also, like my elders in the community, like, uncles and grandfather, just the older men, older black men or just black people in general. They will have stories. So you will hear those stories and then you will experience your own experience. And it just brought a lot of different kind of emotions, um, and just to see how he was helpless in that situation, was murdered. It just really impact me, and my family. We did a lot of protesting. Even in Florida, we protested. Me and my wife were a part of that. So yeah, so it was very, very personal. Very personal experience.
How has
Experiencing.
that right? How has the murder of George Floyd, how has it changed your life in any way? If it has changed your life in any way.
I think that the murder of George Floyd really kind of gave uh, other cultures, like other races, a visual reality of what I've always been going through as Black people here in America. I mean, it kind of gave them I would say at least 10% of what, you know, if I could give a percentage of what we experience on a daily basis.
Hmm.
And I think that when he called out for his mother, it really like ripped the hearts of people to where now it made them like, okay, this is even if they may have struggled with racism or struggled with different things, it made them kind of humanize themselves, like kind of see, okay, this is a human here, this is not right. And it it was to me another cycle again, because these are just cycles. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. We look at different black, positive, powerful men. These
Nat Turner, Denmark
Yeah,
VC,
yeah,
all of
just
these folks.
the list.
Yes.
Yeah, it goes on, and it's like you can say, okay, well, he wasn't educated like Martin Luther King or Malcolm X. Oh, he was this, or oh, he did this, but it's the same cycle, And I think that it's kind of like a bubble. I feel like it was like a air, like how you put air in a balloon and it pops. I just think that's what happened. And with George Floyd, it was like a pop happened, and it just throughout the whole world. People just was moved by it.
Right, but for you, I'm asking you
Yeah,
personally,
yeah,
how you talked about the different examples of what you believe happened with white folks that
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
world got a
Oh, with
chance to
me,
see
yes.
what we go through. So I'm talking about. Let me ask
So,
you, how was that impacted you, John
so
Dawkins?
yeah,
How has
so
this murder changed your life?
yeah, so it changed my life. Um, and I would say in I won't say negative or positive way, but it changed my life because of
So let me rephrase the question then.
with
What are you doing now
yeah.
that's different than what
That's
you were
what
doing
happened. So
before?
yeah,
Let me
so
finish.
what?
What are you doing now
Yeah,
that you weren't doing prior to George Floyd's
I
murder?
became very vocal.
Mentally,
Yeah,
physically, spiritually,
yeah.
whatever.
I became very vocalized, like vocal of what I believe in, like with me going and doing like protesting, standing and with with the community, of vocalizing my thoughts concerning it, if it's on social media platform or just it changed the way I look at too, how we have to be very protective of our community. Because if the young lady never had her cell phone to record it, God forbid, what would have happened? So, like, we have to now be more engaged of our like surroundings. You got to make sure you know the laws, know to have certain things, to record certain things. I think it's just a lot of different perspectives changed.
But I'm talking about you,
With
John
just
Dawkins.
yeah,
You
yeah,
keep
that's
talking
what
about other
changed.
people, but I'm talking about you
Yeah, that's
personally.
what changed. That's what changed with me. I mean, I'm more observing right now. Um, I'm more, like I said, I'm more vocalizing of my thoughts, like towards certain political things that I never was before. Because I more was vocalizing the church, but not com- dealing with community, issues or situations. I was very, kind of like private. So I would say I'm more vocalizing, more outspoken of my thoughts when it comes to certain things that I wasn't before. Um,
Hmm.
I kind of, I guess, have that I don't really care attitude now. Before then, I was more like reserved. You know,
So when you say you don't care attitude, talk about that. What does that? What do you mean when you
yeah.
say you have this I don't care
So
attitude?
I mean, like being blunt and speaking what my thoughts are or how I feel about a matter. Um, I'm not more conservative with that. I'm more vocal.
Okay.
Definitely doing, because even I'll just give you an example, like doing the the protesting with George Floyd, like every time we went, we made a message on like a cardboard, something to say, on the cardboard, my thoughts.
What were your thoughts? What was on the cardboard?
I mean, I can't remember everything, but it was just some things were like random, like just whatever I felt at that moment. I wrote those thoughts on that cardboard, and I was very like vocal.
So
I
what will
wasn't
you
like
say
that
now
before.
then?
Huh?
And so what would you say now? I mean, like, just imagine you being there. What would you, if there was another George Floyd that happened yesterday? What would
Yeah.
you write on a board, on a cardboard, during a protest? What would you write? What would you say?
I mean, I just honestly, just to be truthful, I don't know how I mentally can take that again, to that degree. You know what I mean? I don't know how I would respond to that. I don't know if I have the capacity because um, it just was very non-human. It was it just was a very harsh or very bad, situation. So I don't want to relive that. But what I can say is that we know history recycles itself. If we're not getting to the root of the matter, it's going to happen again, and that's the sad truth. Um, but that's the world we live in, you know.
Right. So let me ask this then.
Yeah,
Then what does it mean to be a black man in America today? Given George Floyd, what happened with him, and you say you don't want to live that and relive that, and none of
yeah,
us,
murder like that. Yeah,
right? So what does it mean to be a black man in America?
I mean, the more I study, the more I learn about the history of us as black people. Um, I'm very proud to be black. I'm not. I never was at a place to where I didn't have confidence in who I am. I always was proud of being black. But the more you learn, especially history that was not um, taught in the educational system, and you learn on your own, you learn these things have been hidden. It makes me proud to be a black man. It makes me proud to know that my ancestors were creatives. They created probably 85, 90% of the things we see today. They own land. They were entrepreneurs. They had businesses. They were successful. They struggled. It's just the whole story of being a black man. I think is an amazing thing. I love it. I love the skin I'm in. I look in the mirror and I love who I am. And all I can be is me, and I think that the more we learn about our history, I think the more we'll be appreciative of who we are. And that's why I think, in my 40 something years of living, the more I learn about my people as black people, it makes me proud to be black.
Wow,
And I don't want to be any other race or any other color.
I
Yeah.
hear that, brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's the most challenging part about being a black man, and why?
I think that the one of the most challenges for black men is that I feel like the system that's set up here, these systems are not really made to pant in our favor. If I can say that, um, we as black people we have to work 10 times harder, and in most cases we don't get paid the same compensation. We don't get the same opportunities. We have to fight for what we. It could be you against someone else for a promotion. You might be better skilled. You might have more education, but you have to fight 10 times harder to be seen. And I feel like that's something that we I believe that's in our DNA is uh, that fight, that willing to just keep going, and and I think the challenges are the systems, because every system that we have in our society is set up, to education or financial or whatever system you think about. Um, we have to work hard, and we always progress to be the best in everything that we do. And once the society we live in, I mean, look at what it was in Oklahoma, um, Tesla. That city was built and successful, this successful, that, had their own hospitals and had their own banks and had their own this and that. And, we see what happened to that. So it's like, I feel like, kind of like what Marcus Garvey was saying, is like we have to go back to where we came from. But and in actuality, I mean, I just feel like we're gonna always have that struggle here. It's just the way that the infrastructure was set up. Um, I mean, we could go back
Okay.
to slavery. We could go back to the natives. We could go back. I mean, there's just so much stuff we could go back to, but that's my personal opinion. You
Okay.
know, yeah.
So on the flip side is, what is the most rewarding part about being a black man?
The most rewarding, I look at it like this: you can take everything away from a black man or a black woman or a black family, and they could go to ground zero and get back up again, and be either successful or become you know notable, be the best of the best. But it's something that's in us that always going to strive to um, get back up again. And I think that's what
Yeah.
is. If you think about like the civil rights and Rosa Parks and different people used to think about history, it just shows you that we're very once we make our mind up, we can do anything. And that's the strength that we are, as a people.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Good. Good.
yeah.
And so you talked about the black man. You talk about the different challenges. You talk about the rewards of
Hmm.
being a black person, of being a black
Yeah.
in America, being a black man in America. The most
Hmm.
rewarding piece. Let me ask:
Yeah.
how do you see the future for black men in America? If you were to future cast, so
Hmm.
forecast, future cast, what do you see as you look out in the future for black men?
Well, statistically, I don't know if you looked into it, but I looked in and saw, they're saying that black men are more, becoming more stable than the family. Where I feel like if that foundation, if we get back in alignment, because that's spiritual as well, it's more spiritual than natural. But if the black men get back in place where we belong, in that foundation of the family, then I think that we're going to see more black families, more strong men, more stronger women, and more grounded and more unified. But it
Mm-hmm.
all starts with that. I think that if that continues to grow, and we get the healing we need, because we do need healing. We have a lot of trauma, and it can be passed down generationally, or your personal trauma, um, that's in our DNA because it's there in the DNA. I just think if we can get that man whole, that woman whole, the families whole, and then we can grow. And I think if we have to teach the younger generation, because I think that's where the mishap is at, is that especially with Generation Z this younger generation. I think there's a gap that needs to be pulled in together. A lot of that's why even the Bible, just to bring that up, the Bible say the older women are supposed to teach the younger women, and I really believe that. I think that the older generation do have to teach the younger generation. There's certain things that we have to keep, and there's certain foundational principles. There's certain things that we have to do, and if we keep that going from generation to generation, it will strengthen us as a people. I think that's what it, but there's a lot of spiritual things that are coming against us that we have to know as a people. That's why we have so much division. You look in it, it's not to say that we don't like each other. I just believe it's spiritual because the enemy knows if we really do come together. I mean, we have what I think is 1 point something, I don't know, trillion buying power. I mean, as black people in America, if we really would come together, we can really do something powerful, but it's that coming together part that we have to get to. But yeah, that's my thoughts.
Okay, that's your
Yeah,
thoughts on the future.
the
Just coming
future. Yeah.
together as black people,
Yes,
pooling our
teaching the younger
resources,
generation. Yep, teach
filling
the
the
younger
gap,
generation. Yep.
teaching the
Mm-hmm.
younger generation. Okay, okay.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
um, what is your greatest hope for us moving forward?
Say that again, though.
What is your greatest hope for
Okay,
us?
hope. My hope is that I know one thing. Me and my wife saw this documentary, very great documentary. I think it's Jordan Peele's. Uh, did it? He was talking about how we had a history of like the black cowboys and how a lot of black people own like acres of land and how they pass it from generation to generation. I think I'm seeing a lot of our people buying land now, and you hear it more often than normal. I think that I'm very hopeful for the future. I just hope that we continue doing these certain things and passing down to the generations afterwards, so it can continue. And one part from that documentary was a woman. I think her grandfather owned this land, and I forgot how many acres. It's like a lot of acres, and he passed it down to, I guess, her parents, and her parents passed it down to her. So now she got grandchildren that she wants to, and she's teaching, and now she's going to pass it down. And it's like that's what we need to do. We got to have a system set up, and it has to be passed down from generation to generation, so we don't lose um, what we've worked so hard for, what we've built. I think that's important.
Right.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah,
so much, brother. Let me
yeah,
ask you two more questions and we're going to close it
yeah,
up here. Thank you so much, man.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Next time when we get on, I want to go deeper into this spiritual aspect of why
Okay.
we are in the condition that we're in as black people,
Yes.
and the struggle for
Yeah.
us
Yeah.
is largely spiritual. I want to really talk more about that next time you come
Okay.
on. But let me,
Okay.
as we close, we only have a few minutes left here.
Yes.
As we close, two questions. What
Mm-hmm.
final message would you like to leave with black men who are listening to you right now? And then,
Okay.
secondly, what inspires you? What
Okay.
inspires you?
One of my messages to black men is that um, one, definitely take care of your mental health. Um, I know that we as a people we go through so much, and I know right now sometimes it's hard to get an environment or a place where you can be open and transparent, but try to find some type of accountability or a place where you can, or if it's not even that deep, if you have at least one friend or a family member, somebody you can really talk to, um, if you're going through something and you just need an ear to listen, have somebody you can go to and talk to, because we go through a lot, and especially being a man and black man is not easy, but through the grace of God and through having that community, I believe that you can make it through anything that you're going through. There's always a other side of what you're going through. My inspiration is uh, passing down. My inspiration is I want to pass down, and I want to leave, when I uh, leave this earth purpose driven. Like everything that God put in place inside of me, I want to make sure I fulfill that. You know.
But no, what I'm saying, the question I have is, what has inspired you? What is inspired? What
Oh, what
word,
has inspired? Oh,
quote?
yeah, yes. Oh,
Yes,
yes.
yes. What
Oh,
has
yeah.
inspired you?
What's inspired me? I would say my family. My family's inspired me, uh, especially on my mother's side. My background is in from the Bahamas. My grandfather came here to help the farms. Like, they were migrated here to help the farms, and from him coming over here, he took what he learned, started his own landscaping company, and made a lot of money. Was very successful, but he started from a very, if we look at it, from a very low place. But he had vision. Um, he had his family supporting, and had a very successful business. So I think that I would say my family. That's what I look at for inspiration.
All
Yeah,
right, brother. Thank you so much, man. And
yeah,
John, thank you for joining us on this episode of Yana. You are not alone. We definitely
yes.
have to
Thank you.
have you come back, okay?
Yes.
Audience, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Yana. You are not alone. It always goes so quick, but that's just how it works. And again, until next time, remember, go on my YouTube page to Yana, YANA, James Trice. Like, subscribe, follow, and share. And every Thursday, you can find a new episode of Yana on YouTube. And every Thursday, you'll find new episodes to hear, listen to on Apple and Spotify. And again, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Yana. And remember that we're never meant to do life alone.
YANA is here for you. This is your space to connect, grow, and be heard, because none of us are meant to do life alone.